Physical distancing and isolation measures, the closure of schools and workplaces are particularly challenges us as they affect what we love to do, where we want to be, and who we want to be with. It is absolutely natural for each of us to feel stress, anxiety, fear, and loneliness during this time.
On the 29th of December, more than 80,000 people tested positive for COVID across the UK, a new record. The number of deaths is up by 20% over the last week and will sadly rise further.
It's just so overwhelming at the minute because before COVID, I had enough of my problems. My symptoms are still, even though despite medication, are still quite severe. And I was finding that hard enough to cope with as it is on its own. And then with this whole COVID stuff, it's just made things 100 times harder. Because not only am I trying to deal with my own symptoms of my schizophrenia and situations, I've now got to deal with the COVID, and it has made me even more anxious, even more paranoid. It's just been absolutely awful. And the support, I'd normally see my friends. That's one of my coping mechanisms. Even if I'm feeling really unwell, they come to me, they'd come in my flat, we'd have a couple of cigarettes and a drink, not alcohol, but hot chocolate or something like that, and just have a chat. And they'd get me through that period, but especially during lockdown, when you're not able to do that, you're not able to see your friends and your family, it has just made it even harder to cope with.
I think it has, like Liz said, made us realise the importance of family and friends, of the things we took for granted that we never really thought, anything about. Up until now, would anyone have considered being able to go out for a meal or a drink in a pub, or all those common things that we are now we took for granted for so long, and now we appreciate so much. So I think it has made us appreciate the good things in life.
I've not left the house since I went to a shop with a friend. I wouldn't be able to do it on my own. I went to the shop with a friend about 3 days, no, it was longer than that. I think it was about a week ago now. It's really difficult being someone who is really scared all the time anyway. And you have this pandemic going around telling you to stay at home, don't interact with people because otherwise you might get it. And yeah, I don't think I've seen some of my friends for months.
Lockdown came, and I have to say, initially I had some really sleepless nights because I thought it was going to turn into some post-apocalyptic kind of thing like Mad Max, where vigilante groups are roaming the streets, stealing food and medicines and all the rest of it. When that didn't happen, after about a week and things settled down to normal, I actually loved it. No traffic, being able to do all the things that I'd never had time to do before, all the projects in the house that you just postpone because you're busy. It was a period of contemplation.
It is hard to sort of imagine life without it now, because it has been part of life for what feels like a very long time. I know it's only really been since March, but it does feel like it's going on forever.
For my son, living on his own and already suffering from social isolation, I think it was dreadful. At first, he wouldn't leave the house. He'd got it into his head that, this was like a plague. And so I was shopping for him, and and he was very insistent. I had to drop the food off at his door and move back more than 2 meters so that he could open the door, take the food and wave at me. But, you know, and after 3 weeks, he said he was really, really struggling. I said, well, you can come and live here. You know, Harriet and I haven't got it. We haven't seen anyone. So it'll probably be all right.
People are going to appreciate things so much more. Like spending time with your friends and family and being able to go out for a meal and stuff like that. Things that people would normally have done without even thinking. I think for a lot of people it's going to be more of that appreciation sort of thing, of actually the little things are things that matter the most.
But I'm really hopeful now because of the vaccine. I'm really hopeful because England has been able to incorporate online learning so I can still do my masters. I'm really glad that everyone's finding a way around situations and finding a way around physical contact.
I think people will be more aware of how it feels to have depression, anxiety, to feel insecure, because I think we've probably all felt that. And I think unless you experience that, you can't really appreciate it. So I think we've all learned a valuable lesson. You know, my confidence has been knocked through this whole COVID. And if my confidence can be knocked, anyone's can.